Thank you for joining us tonight. We're so glad you're here to help us celebrate another season of growing food here in Kansas City. I'm Ben Sharda. I'm the Executive Director for Kansas City Community Gardens. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to take a glimpse in our Beanstalk Children's Garden of some really amazing plants. And of course, we would love to see your garden too, wherever you're at, in your backyard, garden, favorite green space. So share some photos with us on Facebook. Now come join us for our tour of the Beanstalk Children's Garden. And here we are in the fruit garden section of the Beanstalk Garden, and this is one of our apple trees. We grow apples at many of our Giving Grove orchard sites. One of the exciting things that we're doing is growing disease-resistant apples, so it makes it so much easier to get healthy apples. But you can just see how much one small semi-dwarf apple tree can produce hundreds and hundreds of apples. And this tree isn't even at full capacity yet, so eventually it'll be bushels of apples. And apples are great because besides being healthy, but they also store, and just really important crop for people here. And you can grow them in the urban core. You don't have to be out in the country to do that. All right, so these are peppers here in the vegetable garden. And there's millions of different kinds of peppers. This particular kind is gypsy. It's a Hungarian type pepper, but what's amazing about it is it produces so many peppers. And of course, when they ripen, they turn orange and then they turn red. And if you're not aware, when peppers turn color, like you see the red ones in the store, they are so much more nutritious. The vitamin C content goes way up, and so they're much, much healthier. This particular kind of pepper can also be used to dry, and people will dry it and make paprika out of it. But peppers are probably one of the easiest garden plants to grow. So I always tell beginning gardeners, you want to try off with something easy that's really productive, try peppers. So now we're in the seed and grain garden of the children's garden, and this particular plant, peanuts, is one of my favorite, and obviously everybody's familiar with peanuts, but it's so much fun to see them grow. They're in the bean family, so they're a distant relative of green beans and all that kind of good stuff. What's amazing about peanuts is they have, of course, little flowers on them, and when the peanuts form, they actually form underground. So what happens at a certain point, these peanuts actually poke their little flowers underground, and the peanut forms underground. And it's just, I don't know of any other plant that does that. It's just a really unique plant. And obviously peanuts are high in protein. They help feed a lot of the world. So just many, many benefits to peanuts. And of course, who doesn't like peanut butter? Well, some people don't, but when I grew up, I didn't like peanut butter, but I really love it now as an adult. This is another very amazing plant. This is Hopi red dye amaranth. And you might have heard of amaranth. They use it sometimes in breakfast cereals. It's an ancient grain. Native Americans have been growing it for thousands of years, so it produces literally thousands of little tiny seeds that can be toasted, used in cereal, make flour, but also the young leaves are super nutritious. They cook them, and they're just as nutritious as kale or chard or cabbage or broccoli. And then lastly, because of all this color you see, it was an important dye plant, and so they would boil up the flowers and the leftover leaves and stalks, and it created a great dye for dyeing wool blankets and things like that. So truly amazing plant and extraordinarily beautiful. So we love this plant. Also very drought tolerant, as you might guess from being part of the Southwest. It was able to grow there where other things might not grow. In the background you can see our beautiful beanstalk, because we are in the Beanstalk Children's Garden, and that is the famous hyacinth bean, which is a tropical bean, purple flowers. Not necessarily the tastiest bean ever, although it is edible, but very beautiful and just a great thing for covering fences and poles and things like that. All right, now we're in the herb garden, and there's many wonderful herbs in this garden, but one that's very special is this Korean mint. It's totally different from your regular mints. It's not invasive. What's amazing about it is it's an incredible pollinator plant. So I don't know if you can see, but there's lots and lots of bumblebees, honeybees, miscellaneous bees, wasps, butterflies, moths. Everyone comes to this plant to get pollen and nectar. So it's a very, very cool plant. The leaves taste like licorice, so it's fun for kids, and you can make tea out of it. And it's a very beautiful flower. Flowers through most of the summer. So this is definitely one of our favorite plants we show children when they come, so they can just see all the insect life. And it's also interesting for children to see that bees are not trying to sting you, because you can be real close to this if you're not interfering with what they're doing. And you can really get a chance to look up close and see what bees do with flowers and how amazing that is. All right, so this is our little gourd house. It's a fun feature here at the Beanstalk Children's Garden. And really all it is, it's just a trellis shaped like a little house, wired together. You can make this at home so easy. And then we plant all different kinds of gourds, birdhouse gourds, the loofah gourds. We have these little tiny mouse melons growing here. And it just makes a really fun little playhouse for kids, but also a great way to grow your gourds. And inside you can walk in and see gourds hanging down. It's a shady place, so we even have windows so you can peek out and get your picture taken if you want. So when you come to the Beanstalk, you should check out the gourd house. All right, so now we're in our new orchard area in the Beanstalk. We put these plants in a couple years ago, and they're already growing and starting to produce. This fun plant here is a fig tree, and usually you don't think about figs growing here in Kansas City. Obviously they grow in Florida and California and all those places, but you can grow figs here in Kansas City if you pick the right varieties. And this is the Chicago hardy fig, and it actually, you can see little figs growing here at the bottom. And if you've never had a fig, a fresh fig, it is an amazing fruit. And they're really easy to grow. Sometimes they die all the way to the ground, but then they sprout up again. And each year they grow into a shrub, more like a shrub than a tree, and produce figs. So really, really fun plant that you could grow in your own backyard. So now we're in the insectary garden, where we grow lots of special pollinator plants that will attract lots and lots of bees and butterflies and little tiny wasps that help pollinate the vegetable garden, they help pollinate the orchards. And there's a lot of concern right now that pollinators are disappearing in the environment, so that's why people are trying to plant some of these pollinator plants. So this particular plant is mountain mint, and it is a haven for honeybees, bumblebees, little tiny wasps, and all kinds of butterflies. If you can look in close, which you'll see here in a minute, you can just see literally thousands and thousands of pollinators that are being attracted to this. We have our beehives located nearby, because this is obviously a special place for them, but they're a really easy plant that you can grow in your backyard, not invasive, native plant, and very, very fun to watch. The Beanstalk Garden is a magical and impressive place, but it's only a tiny part of the expansive network of gardens and orchards that Kansas City Community Gardens supports throughout the whole city. Our mission is to empower low-income households and community groups to grow food, and we do that in very many different settings, lots of different organizations all throughout the metro area. So now, let's take a little bit of time to hear from a few of our gardeners out in the field.
My name is George Doe. We're in Eastwood Garden. One day I was introduced by one of my sister, Esther. I think this is my 5th year, so I grow a lot of things. Given the fact that I'm almost like a vegetarian, so I really love this. I pay money at the gym. I don't even go to the gym in summer because all my gym is right here. It helps. And then I eat a lot of vegetable. In summer I eat a vegetable that's nearly every day. And then I store some for rainy days like in winter. I don't sell it now. Sometime when I'm going to visit like people like my junior brother in Tulsa, I'll get some, go and give them. They'll be very happy. I can't do without a garden. I can't do without a garden from now. No. Yeah, because I eat a lot of things here. I've been eating vegetable throughout my life, and it helps. I have all the nutrients. I'm like 63 years. I've never slept in a hospital bed. With all this thing going on, I know. I just feel like sometimes if I have to pass my time, instead of going like to all those crowded area, I come here. You know, you avoid a lot of problem, a lot of contact with people. I'm here. I'll get something here, I go and eat. The only thing I want to say now is just to thank you guys and the City Council for actually giving us this opportunity to really come here and fetch for ourselves. Of course, you have to work hard. But where do you have a piece of land like this? So that's why we're thanking the City Council and you guys for actually organizing this and letting us come here and at least get something organic.
My name is Grace Scott Golden. I garden at Eastwood, and it's right across from the stadiums. We have the Royal Stadium and the Chief Stadiums, so you can see it from my garden there. I had a girlfriend who was gardening at the main office on Kensington, and she told me that they were about to open up a plot near me, near my home. And so I came in and secured a membership and got one plot. But Kansas City Community Gardens has workshops, and I took a basic gardening workshop and realized I need 2 plots, 2 raised beds and 6 at home. And I just bless people with food. I take a lot of food to the church. It benefits so many different people, so a wide range of people and a lot of people. And then that's the other thing about Kansas City Community Gardens. You meet so many wonderful people here. The gardeners that I garden with, we've just become family. We have become family. We exchange telephone numbers. We know each other. It works.
My name is Fred Burns, and the orchard is the Asylum Orchard, and it's the home of fruits and nuts. We have over 100 different trees, bushes of fruits. We have apples, peaches, apricots, pears, jujubes, cherries. It was land that Missouri Department of Transportation had taken 50, 60 years ago for 71 highway. This is about 4 acres that was not used, and they, somewhere along the line, deeded it back to Blue Hills Community Services. And when I was building houses for Blue Hills Community Services, they offered the land to me if I would do something with it. So I bought it, I built my house here, and we put in an orchard and a community garden for the neighborhood. It's free to pick. We put those in, and then probably after 2010 or so, we got together with the Giving Grove, and we bought these trees through Kansas City Community Garden, and people at Giving Grove were very, very helpful in helping us plant them, how to take care of them, and so forth like that. Yeah. I am not a gardener. I rely on them very, very much to tell me when to spray things, what type of spray to use. So the neighborhood, when we have things that are ripe, like about 2 weeks ago, we had our final variety of peaches that were ripe. We put out a call blast on the neighborhood phone network, and within a half a day, the peaches are gone. There's nothing more rewarding than a family coming down with their kids, and the peaches are ripe, and the kid picks a peach for the first time in his life and eats it off the tree, and the juice is running down his arm, and he's just elated, or she is just elated, and it's just, there's no saying how much that means. It's fantastic.
I'm the program director at Rosedale Development Association, and Rosedale is a nonprofit in South Kansas City, Kansas, and we cater to the neighborhood of Rosedale. We're currently in the Rainbow Community Garden, and it is owned by Rainbow Mennonite Church right across the street. This garden has been used to, in partnership between Rosedale Development Association and Rainbow Mennonite Church, to house the Rainbow Summer Program. And in the Rainbow Summer Program, we feed 100 kids throughout the summer for 6 weeks during this literacy program. We use the produce from our garden as we do every year for breakfast and lunch. So all of the meals we produced for that program, most of them were supplied from the gardens that we have in our community. In addition to that, there were families that were in need, making sure that they had basic needs met, such as food. And so we had grocery bags that we can give out once a week to family from the excess of produce that we have from the gardens. So in the Rainbow Summer Program, what we did was every week had a theme, and one of the weeks the theme was gardening. And so the young people, all of the books that they read that week, some of the activities that they had, all centered around being caregivers of the earth. And so the youth, we partnered with KCCG, and they supplied us with the barrels, the seeds, and then we got the soil for each of the families. And the youth were able to grow at home, and so that was a success to actually have the youth not being able to come over here like they did in summers past and come to this garden and see how a plant grows. They were able to do it in their own backyards. In the summer, we have Summer Youth Employment Program, and that's usually funded through BPU, and it gives the youth 14 to 17 their first opportunity to have their first summer job. And in the past, we always partner with community partners, and so the youth will learn how to make chocolate in one business or learn about architecture in another business. But this year, just because we wanted to make sure that the youth were kept safe, and most of the organizations, we were still all trying to find our footing about what to do with COVID, we decided to actually utilize the youth services by helping us in the community gardens. So that kept us out of the buildings, nice, clean, fresh air. Instead of hiring 15 youth like we usually do, we hired only 7, and made sure that we kept our protective gear on, but the youth learned how to plant and sow and care and maintain the gardens in the community. All in all, we have 4 community gardens here in Rosedale and 2 orchards, and so the youth did that, like cleaned up trails, orchard care, and also did a lot of the planting and caring for the plants. And so that's some way that we had to pivot to make sure that we still were able to offer this opportunity to young people, but also make sure that everyone is safe in the process. Yeah, KCCG actually helps us, like all of the gardens, from the garden beds to the soil, everything came from KCCG once upon a time. We're able to build relationships as an organization, but KCCG is able to help us provide a service and a resource to the community here.
My name's Mariana Gutierrez, and I'm now a senior at Sumner Academy.
And my name is Erin Lynch, and I'm a senior at Sumner too.
One day we just went outside for a certain class, and I walked by here, and I saw that it wasn't as full of stuff as it used to be before, when previous years when I've seen it. So I'm like, I asked around to see who was in charge of it, and I wanted to get it back.
So my name is Monica Mendez, and I am a board member of the Kansas City, Kansas Community Gardens for the last couple of years. We have an 18 group of kids, getting them involved in kind of like community service. The first idea was to clean up the garden and then start looking for kids that will be interested on making this garden alive again.
My name is Janet Day, and I am a volunteer coordinator of the garden this year. My association with Sumner is through my husband, Kevin Day, who is an IB English teacher. You know what? These students are just so amazing because they're the kind of folks that you can say, you know, I would like for you guys to do some research and tell me what you would like to do. And they are actually jazzed about it. They had like great ideas and they knew what they wanted to do. Erin, for example, one of the students, is the reason that we have the strawberries. And to me, that was so touching because you're planting something that's a perennial and they're investing in the future of these gardens here at Sumner.
Yeah, I decided I wanted sunflowers mainly because my mom likes sunflowers. So I thought, ooh, we could have sunflowers and I could like get some for my mom. And tomatoes as well. I just like decided I wanted tomatoes because who doesn't like tomatoes?
For me, like she was in charge of tomatoes, it was really my idea to get so many strawberry plants out here because those are my favorite.
I think it's fun, especially in the sense that I get to tell everyone about it. And I'm always telling my family and anyone just in general about how we have a school garden and about all the things we have in it. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
I do feel a little bit of ownership. I also like telling people like I'm working on a school garden this semester and these are the plants we have in there and I'm personally here helping all the time.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the great stories you just heard. These are just a few of the thousands of gardeners who grow food for their families and their neighbors across our city. We've been so inspired to see the way that so many have generously stepped up to serve our community during this very challenging year. But right now we're out here in the rental gardens here at Swope Park Community Garden, and it's one of the many rental sites we have across the city. We have 9 large community gardens where we rent garden space. And out here you can see raised beds. Gardeners can rent a raised bed. Some of them will rent a garden plot depending on their needs, and that way they can grow their own food for their families. So right now lots of people are thinking about growing their own food. Some people who've never really thought about it before because they're concerned about eating healthier. People are wanting to be outside, connecting with the environment, and just, you know, locally produced food is really important, and you can't get much more local than growing food in your own backyard or at a community plot. But really, it's about also saving money, and the low-income families that garden are able to save a lot of money because vegetables are expensive. So this year, we're just seeing lots and lots of new interest in people wanting to garden. But 2020 has been a really challenging year for everybody for so many reasons. And for us, as a gardening, we had to try and figure out how we could help people garden safely. And we were wondering if people would want to garden this year, but this year we were pleasantly surprised that more people than ever were wanting to garden because they were feeling the need to respond to everything that's going on. And it's just been so encouraging to see so many people participating and helping each other and benefiting our community in so many ways. So next year, we're hoping that a lot of these new gardeners will continue, but that will be a challenge for us just to provide more resources to more gardeners. It's just exciting to see how much people have really just increased in their interest this past year. 2020 has been a very different sort of year, but our mission has actually been the same as it was 35 years ago, helping low-income families grow their own food and community groups, and doing this throughout the Kansas City area. So this evening we're asking you to join in our mission by making a gift to support a garden or an orchard. Gifts of any amount will help to empower low-income neighbors to grow their own vegetables and fruit, putting healthy foods within their reach.
A gift of $33 will enable KCCG to grow produce for a local food pantry. Your gift will support a plot in one of 90 area KCCG-supported donation gardens, where community volunteers grow food that is given to local pantries. KCCG's Community Partner Garden staff work with garden leaders to develop a planting plan each year, selecting varieties of produce with a longer shelf life. Your gift will help us provide gardens with low-cost seeds, plants, and supplies, and on-site technical support. A gift of $48 will sponsor a class field trip to the Beanstalk Children's Garden. Children will gasp in delight as they see, smell, and taste their way through our 7 unique garden zones. Many of the children who visit the garden are growing up in urban neighborhoods where gas stations outnumber grocery stores. As they connect with nature and learn where healthy food comes from, they will gain an excitement and willingness to taste fruits and veggies, laying the groundwork for healthy life habits. A gift of $123 will empower a family to garden at home. Nothing inspires healthy eating more than juicy, delicious veggies growing just steps from the back door. With an investment of less than $25 and a little practice, low-income families can grow nearly 240 pounds of produce a year in a backyard garden, a value of over $500. Your gift will provide a family with all they need to get growing, from low-cost seeds, seedlings, and garden supplies like straw and fertilizer, to free educational workshops and opportunities to seek technical advice from KCCG's expert staff. A gift of $240 will help engage youth in an after-school garden. There's a lot more than food growing in KCCG schoolyard and youth gardens. Kids who participate in after-school gardening programs are welcomed into a safe space where they can grow connections with one another and take pride in growing food for their classmates and families, all while being inspired to make healthier choices. Your gift will provide this experience for a group of 16 children or teens. You'll enable KCCG staff to work in the field, providing hands-on gardening instruction and nutrition education. A gift of $542 will sponsor a season in a community garden or orchard. KCCG supports more than 260 area community gardens and orchards. These gardens make fresh produce available to residents in places where they already live, work, and receive other services, making the healthy choice the easy choice. Your gift will underwrite KCCG's cost to fully support a garden or orchard through one season of growing, whether that be spring, summer, or fall. A gift of $1,008 will adopt a garden, providing a year of support for a school or community garden or an orchard. Empower a garden to grow. School and community gardens and orchards provide a source of affordable, healthy food, strengthen relationships within communities, and transform vacant lots and underutilized spaces into vibrant gathering places. Your gift will underwrite a full year of KCCG services for a school or community garden or orchard, supplying low-cost plants, seeds and supplies, free educational workshops for coordinators and volunteers, on-site troubleshooting, and a full library of curriculum and horticultural resources.
As we close tonight's broadcast, we just want to reiterate our thanks to the many people who made our work possible. Think of all the gardeners, think of volunteers, we have a wonderful staff and board, and of course our many donors. Special thank you to all of you who've made gifts tonight, and especially to our sponsors. Thank you for joining us for this special Gardens at Sunset. We wish you all a very successful fall harvest. We hope to see you back in the garden with us next year.